Entry 2. This will be the first assignment recorded in this journal. Some background. Apparently, the eggheads in the R&D department decided to create a new species a while back. They call it Rattus chupacabras, or the chupacabra rat, because it was a hybrid of a New York sewer rat and a chupacabra. Seems like a stupid idea to me, but apparently they were successful. Too successful. One of them apparently attacked some people, including one of the scientists, and escaped. From what I heard, it was gory as fuck. Apparently, it was able to breed with other rats, and there are now a bunch of them in New York, and possibly other states. They're able to be distinguished from other species fairly easily, as the babies are the size of full-grown rats, and the adults are usually the size of large house cats, though it's speculated that they may have the potential to be even larger. They've got glowing yellow eyes, dark fur, fangs, and a tongue that can extend at least 3 times its body, though reports intercepted from victims seem to suggest it can retract to be shorter or extend to be even longer. Unnatural strength and a tail to that of a scorpion in appearance, though covered in fur except for the spike. Its spike seems to function in a similar fashion to a scorpion's as well, injecting victims with a toxin. The chupacabrat's toxin, however, doesn't kill them. It immobilizes the victim and seemingly amplifies the pain they would feel from the chupacabrat's attack. It's really fucked up. Anyways, got a message from one of my bosses telling me of my assignment. Go to the target building, pose as a pest control specialist, and attempt to convince the host of the building to relocate while you do the job. If they don't answer, refuse to relocate, act in a suspicious manner, or claim knowledge of the fact that the creatures in question aren't rats, I'm supposed to terminate the targets and dispose of the evidence and any witnesses in any way I saw fit. Along with it came a briefing of the creatures. As I went through it, I thought about how I should exterminate them. If the tenant was willing to cooperate, then the best methods weren't an option. I assumed that the creatures are too smart for mousetraps or something like that. I decided that if the homeowner was cooperative, I'd try fumigation. As I was to impersonate a pest control specialist, I was provided with a uniform and a pest control van. I put on the uniform, got into the van, and drove to the designated apartment to talk to the tenant. The conversation didn't go too well, unfortunately. The man living there basically said that he didn't have mice in his house anymore and to get the fuck off his porch. I got into my retriever armor, then returned the uniform and van. After that, I figured out my plan. I'd return to the apartment in the middle of the night and bring the tenant into Omnus custody, then deal with the chupacabrats. For better or for worse, things didn't go as planned. I hadn't accounted for the fact that I'd actually have to find the room that he was in, and I didn't know his habits. I mentally cursed myself for not studying his behavior patterns before attempting this, and started poking around his house to find him. I went room by room, tranq gun at the ready, in case I needed to use it. He wasn't in the first room of the house, which was the living room. I moved to the next room on the left, which was the bathroom. He wasn't there either, and so it went, from one room to another, until there was only one room left, which I assumed would be his bedroom. Just as I was about to enter, I heard a man's blood-curdling scream come from the room, which was quickly cut off. I kicked in the door, and what I saw was horrifying. I saw what seemed to be at least a dozen of the monsters chewing on him, the sound of flesh tearing and blood spilling with every bite. I watched frozen for a minute as they tore through the man. Massive holes down to bone were being formed and blood pouring from him. I turned on the light and they all scattered. Seems like they weren't a fan of it. I assumed the man was dead, but when I got closer, approaching from his side, his eyes turned to face me, and a look of horror and pain on his face from when the toxins took effect. I felt sick when I saw that. I took out my knife and I slit his throat, as it would be much quicker and more painless a death than leaving him alone to die from his injuries. After that, I went into his kitchen and turned on his stove, as it was gas-powered. From there, I left, waiting for 2 days. I did this to make sure that the house was completely filled, as well as to ensure that as many rats as possible were dead. When 2 days passed, I went back to the house, struck a match, and tossed it in. The building erupted into flame, and I left. I'm glad the mission was somewhat successful, but I feel bad about the man's situation. Seems like maybe the worst way to die. Still, he brought it on himself, I guess. Should have let me do my thing. What's really bugging me, though, is that this isn't really over. The mission was successful, sure, but that wasn't the end of the problem. Those things are all over the state, and I've heard they've even spread to other states. If we don't take care of this, they'll spread across the US, if they haven't already. So what's next? I suppose time will tell. Updates to come. Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.